Today we'll discuss how we can create custom network day function in Power Query using mquote. I have training data here which has employee names, training module, training hours, training start and end date. And using this raw data, we have to prepare this report employee wise total training hours. Looks very easy, right? And the calculation to get the total training hours is actual number of days multiplied with training hours. In our raw data, we have training hours which we can utilize. However, we don't have actual number of days in our raw data. We have to get the actual number of days. And the calculation is end date minus start date minus weekends minus holidays. And here we can use network day function. And the use of network day function is to calculate business days by excluding weekends and holidays, right? So let's use the network day function here to get the actual number of days. Equal to network days, bracket open. And the first parameter is start date. Let's select the start date which is D2, put it comma here. And the second parameter is end date. Let's select the end date which is E2, put it comma here, and the last parameter is holidays. If we want to exclude holidays from these dates, we have to supply the list of holiday dates. So here in the separate tab, I have a list of holidays which I want to exclude. Let's select this list of dates and close the bracket, press enter. Right, so we get the actual number of days by excluding weekends and holidays. And this actual number of days I can multiply with training hours to get the total training hours, right, for each employees. And this is very easy to do it in Excel by using network day function. If you want to create same report in Power Query, it will be a bit complex, right, as we don't have network day function in Power Query. But what we can do here is we can create our own custom function. And Power Query allows us to create our own custom function using mquote. So stay with me on this video till the end. And if you are new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified with my upcoming videos. Let's create our own custom network day function here in Power Query. And to create a network day function, we need the list of holidays, right? So here in the separate tab, I have a list of holiday dates. So let's load this data to Power Query. I already converted this data into an official table, right? So let's load this data into Power Query now. Click on the data menu and select from table range. It will load the data to the Power Query editor. Let's give it a name to this query. You can give any name here. So I am giving a name as holiday list. And from this applied step, delete this change type step. And if you see in the data table, we have holiday date in a date and time format. However, we need this date as a date format, right? So let's convert this date and time to a date format. Select this date column, click on transform menu, click on data type drop down and select date. So it will convert this date into the date format. This is what we need, right? And for our custom network day function, we need these holiday dates as a list, not as a table. So let's convert this holiday date column to a list. Let's select this date column, click on transform menu and select convert to list. It will convert this table into the list. This is what we need for our custom network day function. This will become as an input parameter to our custom network day function, right? So we have a list of holidays as a list. Now let's create our own custom function. Expand this query tab here and right click on blank space and select new query, then select other sources and select blank query. It will add a blank query to this Power Query editor. Let's give it a name to this function here. So I'm giving a function name as network day, right? So you can give any name. So I'm giving a function name as network days. Let's give a network days here. All right. Let's click on view menu and select advanced editor, which will open advanced editor where we can write M code, right? Let's delete this source. If you remember, in Excel we have a network day function, right? And that network day function has 3 parameters, right? The first parameter is a start date, second is the end date, and the last parameter is the holiday list, right? So in same way, we'll create 3 input parameters here in Power Query also. Let's create 3 parameters here to our custom function. The first parameter is the start date as date. Put it comma here. And the second parameter is end date as date, right? Put it comma here. And the third parameter is we need the holiday list as list. So we'll pass the holiday dates as a list, right? And the overall data type of our function is number. So we'll get the result as number, equal to sign and greater than symbol. So this is how we'll create the input parameters for custom function in Power Query, right? This is how we'll create. So before we start writing our code, let's understand the logical steps, what we are going to do here in Power Query, right? Let's click on done button here for now and click on home menu, click on close and load and select close and load to. For now, select only create correction and click OK. Right? So before we start writing any code in Power Query editor, first we'll understand what we are going to do. Basically, we'll understand the logical steps which we are going to do in Power Query. Let's add start date and end date here. So the start date is and this is my end date, right? So 2nd October is my start date and the 5th October is my end date. So in Power Query, the first step which we are going to do is we are going to create a series of dates. Right? The series of date means starting from the 2nd October up to 5th October will create the series of dates in Power Query. Right? So let's do here in Excel. So this is my start date. Let's copy here and we'll create the series of date by doing D2 plus 1. Right? So let's change this column to a date format. And we'll drag this formula up to the 5th October, right? So this is my start date and this is my end date. So this is how we'll create the series of date. So instead of doing this D2 plus 1, D3 plus 1, let's use the sequence function here, which is more flexible and more powerful. Equal to sequence bracket open. And remember, I'm using Office 365 here. And the first parameter is rows. So I want end date minus start date plus 1. So this number of rows I want to populate. Put it comma here. So I want result only in one column. So let's enter 1 here. I will not go much into the sequence function now. Right? So put it comma here and the start. So I want to start from this date, which is A2. Put it comma here and the last parameter is a step. So step means increment. So I want to increment by 1. Right? So the first start date is 2nd October. So in the next cell we'll get the 3rd October. So this is how it will increment up to the last row. Close the bracket and press enter. So it will get the error here because we have a static value here, right? Starting from 3rd row. So let's delete this value. Then we'll have a list of dates here. If my end date is 10th of October, then we'll have a series of dates starting from 2nd up to 10th October. So this is how we will do in the first step. So we'll create the series of dates. If my start date is 4th of October, then I will have a start date as 4th October up to the 10th of October, right? So this is our first step. And in the next step, what we will do is we'll filter only the weekday dates, right? So if I enter a weekday function on this date, let's select the weekday here, and the serial number is this one. This is my serial numbers. Put it comma here. Let's select the second option. My weekday starts from Monday, right? So Monday to Sunday. So Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, right? So let's select the second option from here and close the bracket and press enter. So we'll get the weekdays for our date series, right? So all we need is these dates where my weekday is less than equal to 5. If it's a Saturday, then we'll get the weekday as 6. If it's Sunday, then we'll get the weekday as 7. These two we don't want, right? We just need a working days, which is Monday to Friday. If it's Monday, we'll get 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3, Thursday 4, and Friday is 5. So this is what we need. So we'll use a filter function here to get the weekday less than equal to 5, right? So let's remove weekends. Let's use the filter function here. Equal to filter, the first parameter is array. So we want this dates as an output. Let's select this, put it comma here, and in the include, what we will do is we will use the weekday function here. So weekday, so this is my serial numbers, put it comma, select the second option, which is Monday to Sunday, close the bracket. So here we'll apply the logic. So weekday is less than equal to 5, right? If we have weekend only on Sunday, then what you can do here is you can change this 5 to 6, which is less than equal to 6, Monday to Saturday, right? So in our case, we just want Monday to Friday. So let's enter less than equal to 5. Now close the bracket, press enter. So we will have only those dates where weekday is less than equal to 5, right? So 4 to 8. So those dates we will get here. So we have removed the weekends from this series of dates, right? So in the next step, what we will do, we'll remove the holidays. So how we will remove holidays? So we have this final date list. From this date, if any of this date exists in our holiday list, then we'll remove it, right? So we don't want any date which exists in holiday list here. So let's use the filter function here also. Equal to filter. Array means, so I want this column of information as an output. So let's select this column here and put it comma. And in the include, what we will do, we will use the match function here. If this date exists in holiday, then we'll get the number, right? So what is the output we'll get using match? So we'll get the position, right? So if this date exists in holiday list, we'll get the number. If this date does not exist, then we'll get the error. So this is what we need, right? So we'll wrap the match function in is number, and we'll use the match function here. So this is, I want to look up, put it comma here, and holiday list is my lookup array. So let's select this holiday list, put it comma here. Next, select the exact match. Close the bracket for match and close the bracket for is number. So here we'll use equal to false. Why we are selecting false here? Because if the date does not exist, then we'll get error, right? If date exists, then we'll get the position number. So that's why we are using equal to false. Let's close the bracket for filter and press enter. So we'll get the list of dates here after removing holiday dates, right? Right now in this date, right now in series of date, we don't have any date exist in holiday list, right? So for testing purpose, if I add 8th of October here, let's copy this and paste here. Next, add 7th of October here, right? So I added 7th of October to our holiday list, and if I go to the sheet 1, then you can see the 7th of October is not showing here, right? So we have removed the holiday dates from this list. So this is our third step. So in the next step, what we will do, we will take the count. We'll use the conte function here, equal to conte. Next, select this and close the bracket. We will get the actual number of days. So this is the steps we are going to follow in Power Query to create our own custom function, right? If my start date is 2nd of October, then I will have this number of days. Or if my end date is 15th of October, then you can see this is my actual number of days. So in the first step, we are creating a series of date, and in the next step, we are removing the weekends, and in the next step, we are removing the holiday dates, and in the last step, we are taking a count of dates, which will be our actual number of days. So this is the steps we are going to do in Power Query. This look very interesting, right? So let's do this in Power Query now. Right click on this network day query and select edit. It will open Power Query editor. Now let's click on view menu here and select advanced editor. Now here we'll write our custom network day function, right? So in the first step, we'll create the series of date list as a variable name equal to list.dates. So this is the function we'll use to create the series of date in Power Query. And the first parameter is start date. Let's enter the start date parameter value here, put it comma, and the second parameter is count. Count means how many rows you want, right? So let's use the function as number.from bracket open in date minus start date and this plus 1. Put it comma here, and the third step is step. Step means the increment. So we have to pass the increment as duration. So let's enter the duration here, bracket open 1, 0 hours, minutes and seconds. So this is how we have to pass the increment in Power Query as duration. So in this line of code, it will create the series of dates. Put it comma here and press enter, and in the next step, we'll remove the weekends. You can give any name here. I'm just using a remove weekends as the name. How we will remove? So list.select. This is the function we'll use to filter only weekday less than equal to 5. Open bracket, and the first parameter is list, right? So we have a list here, which is a date list, which we have created, right, in the first step. Put it comma here, and the second parameter is function. So we'll use the each day function here, each date dot day of week, right? So day of week bracket open, put it underscore comma day dot Monday, right? So my working day starts from Monday, correct? Is less than equal to 5. So what we are doing here is we are checking each date if weekday is less than equal to 5 or not. If the weekday is less than equal to 5, then it will select, right? So by this, what will happen, the Saturdays and Sundays will not filter here. So it will filter only where weekday is less than equal to 5. Put it comma here and press enter. In the third step, what we will do, we'll remove the holiday dates, right? So how we will remove? So we'll use the list.remove items. So this is the function we'll use here. Open bracket, and the first parameter is remove weekend. This is our last step, right? This is our second step, which is a remove weekends, right? So from this list of dates, remove the holiday list. So my second parameter is list2, and this is my holiday list, right? So this holiday list we are passing as a input parameter here, right? It will check both. If this date exists in this holiday list, then it will remove, right? So this is our third step. Put it comma here, and in the last step, what we will do, we'll take a count of this list. So how we will take a count? We'll use the list.count function here. Open bracket, and this is my previous last step, right, which is remove holidays. So in just 4 steps, we'll get the actual number of days, right? Like same network day function what we have in Excel. This is our last step, right? So let's enter this last step here under in. So under in, we have to enter the last variable name, whatever last variable name we have here, the same name we have to enter here. So this is how we'll create the custom function in Power Query. You can see there is no syntax error have been detected. So let's click on done here and expand this. So we have created our own custom network day function, right? Now it's time to use this. So before we use this network day function, we have to load our data, right? Let's click on home menu here. Click on close and load and select close and load too. Click on training data tab here. Let's convert this raw data into an official table. Select the data and use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+T. Enable this option my table as header and select OK. It will convert the data into the official table. Now let's load this data to Power Query. Click on data menu and select from table range. It will load this data to the Power Query editor. Let's give it a name to this query. So I want my query name as T hours report, which is the total training hours report. And in the applied step, delete this change type step from this applied steps. If you see the data here, the start date and end date showing as a date and time format, right? So we want just a date format. Let's select this start date and end date column. Click on transform menu. Click on data type drop down and select date. It will convert this date and time to the date format. This is what we need, right? Let's add a new column to use the network day function. Click on add column and select custom column. Let's give it a name, actual number of days, right? So here we can use our own custom function which we have created. So what is the function name we have given? Network days, right? So let's use the network days here, bracket open. You can see whatever parameters we have created, right? The same parameters is showing here. So what is the first parameter here? Start date. Let's insert the start date from here. Put it comma, and the second parameter is end date. Select the end date, put it comma here, and the last parameter is holiday list. If you remember, we have given a table name as holiday list, right? Let's use this holiday list here and close the bracket. You can see there is no syntax error have been detected. Let's click on OK here. Then we will have a actual number of days here, right? So we have created our own custom network day function to get the actual number of days. This is really cool, right? Now we can use this actual number of days and we can multiply with this training hours to get the total training hours, right? So let's add another column here. Click on add column and select custom column. Let's give it a name, total training hours. And what is the calculation? Actual number of days multiply with training hours, right? Let's select this. There is no syntax error. Click on OK. We'll get the total training hours for each employee, right? This is really nice, right? So for our end report, what we need, we just need the employee name and the total training hours, right? So let's select the employee name column and select the total training hours column. Right click and select remove other columns, as we don't need other columns, right? For our report, we just need the employee name and the total training hours. Let's click on this remove other column. Then we will have just a total training hours for each employee. Let's load this data to the Excel file. Click on home menu, click on close and load and select close and load too. Select table and select existing worksheet. Let's load this report in the existing sheet. Select the location where you want to export. I have selected this L1 and click OK. It will load this report here, right? So we got the total training hours for each employees, right? In future, if I add any new associate, right? So let's add a new name here and the module and the training hours, and let's use the same start date and end date. And if I refresh this report, right click and select refresh, right? So we will have total training hours for this employee also, and this is fully dynamic, right? So this is how we'll create our own custom function in Power Query. I hope this video helps you understand how we can create our own custom function in Power Query using M code. If you like this content, please do like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified with my upcoming videos. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching.